Hello, everybody. This is Kadri coming to you on my second ever uh, Facebook Live broadcast. How are you all doing? Today's topic is going to be on forgiveness and forgiveness in three directions. Before we dive into that, I do want to talk a little bit about the last broadcast that I did, which was on fear. There was a lot of activity, a lot of questions that came up, and I would like to just address a couple of those. And one of them was that actually three different people asked me about this one, that they make comments about how confident and self-assured I seem to be, and for me to have fear and doubt and insecurity seemed a little odd to them. And yet, what I would say to that is every time that I overcome fear, every time that I embrace doubt, it turns into confidence, and it's not something that goes away. It's something that will stay with me as my experience forever, yet it will never go away. And it's not something that I would want it to go away, because I tried that for most of my life, and all it did was bring me more suffering and more confusion, and all of the, kind of went into my subconscious, and it was ruling me from, in a reactionary ways that I would not normally want to have in my life anymore. I want to live consciously, and I want to live clear, and I want to live well. So that's for last week. It's really about every time that you have overcome fear, or anytime you overcome any kind of a negative emotion, all it does is create confidence and courage. So each time we do that, each time we overcome something, then it creates a stronger, more powerful foundation for us to live from. If you're here, say hello, push the button so I know you're there. Just say hello, say hi, so I can tell who you are, where you are. I want to make sure this equipment is working. This is a new software that I tried to use last week, but it didn't work. And okay, yeah, there we go. It's working. Hi, Trish. Hi, Alex. Okay, I feel so much better now. This is like the weirdest thing. I have to call myself out on this again. This is really, I'm like looking at myself and having a conversation with you all. And I know you're there, yet I'm looking into the abyss and into a void. And it's really weird, and it's really surreal. I'm sure it's something I can get used to easy enough, yet it's really, really challenging, to say the least. But I'm up for the challenge. Layla. Hi, Layla. My niece is on there. Okay, so today's topic is about forgiveness. And this is a practice that came along my way about 15 years ago, after I had a fairly, it was a devastating divorce breakup. And so a lot of things were coming up for me. I went into retreat, and my life was coming before me, and I really didn't know how to work with the feelings and the emotions that I was experiencing. So mainly what was coming up for me was the things that I had done to others and how it really harmed them. And this is something that, we have to accept, that no matter what, just being human, we betray and we hurt others, sometimes knowingly and sometimes unknowingly. And so this all came up for me. And just at the right time, I was introduced to Jack Kornfield. He's a Buddhist teacher. He's a Western Buddhist teacher. He's a really heart-oriented man. For those of you who don't know who he is, for those of you who do know who it is, please push the button like a thumbs up or a heart so I can interact with you there. So what was really interesting for me was that that I had harmed others and I had been harmed by others, and yet I didn't know how to clear it up. You know, most of the time, you know, we think that we ask for forgiveness from someone. You go to them and you tell them, "Hey, I did this, and I'm so sorry, and please forgive me." And if that person chooses to forgive you, and then you have clarity, and then you just kind of move along. Yet there are situations where, most situations where you can't really go to that person or ask for forgiveness. In my case, it was, my mother passed away at a very early age, so I was challenged with that part. So I had to have healing and around, my relationship with my mother, and she wasn't even here. So here it was, and so trying to organize this in my head. So the forgiveness in three directions is actually not a condonement of somebody's actions. It's really letting go of anger and resentment that you may have for an act that may have happened with someone else. It is absolutely rule number one. It is not condoning somebody else's actions. And also for regret, all we can do is we can ask for forgiveness from someone else and then let it go. It's really, as Buddha said, it's like with the anger and the resentment, it's like when you're holding onto coals and you want to throw it at somebody to harm them, yet you're holding onto those coals. And so you burn yourself in the process. And another saying that I really like is like drinking poison and expecting the other person to be affected by it. And that's the resentment and the anger. And all of this lives in the past. And so every time that we experience regret, every time that I experience anger or resentment, what I'm really doing is I'm trying to change the past, which is not possible. What I really want to do is just clean up the past so I can free the balls and the chains that these things that are holding me back to be able to move forward in a more clean and clear way. So, hi everybody. A lot of people showing up. If you're showing up, please push the hello button, say hi so I know you're there. Yeah. Okay, so the forgiveness in three directions. It goes in one direction is when you ask for somebody's forgiveness, and then the other direction is when you forgive someone else for a harm that you may feel like they have done to you. And then the third and the most important part is when we forgive ourselves for things and situations and circumstances that we may have, in ways that we may have rejected ourselves and we may have harmed ourselves. So, and sometimes I find that that's the most challenging part, is to forgive ourselves. So the way that it works is, the way that I used it was, I would visualize a person in front of me, create a situation where it's quiet, calm, is kind of a meditative, serene area, and you sit down, you bring energy into your breath, just be grounded, come into the present moment, and then you visually create the person in front of you, sitting cross-legged or sitting in a chair, and have this person sitting in front of you in a very friendly, manner, like with an open heart, with an open mind. And so in creating this situation, what's happening is that you're creating the intention to have healing of the past so we can move forward. So closing the eyes, this is working with somebody that is not present with you. So you close your eyes and you sit there and you visualize this person sitting across from you with an open heart and an open mind. In the same way that you're coming, they're receiving you and they're coming to you in the same way in this meditation. So what the first part is that you actually generate compassion and tenderness for this person and putting yourself in their shoes, what it must be like to be them, especially if they have harmed you. And possibly, what were they possibly thinking or feeling and experiencing where it may have brought them to, in a circumstance where they harmed you in this way. So this actually creates compassion and tenderness and opens up the possibility for the healing to be more potent and more powerful. So once that is established, what you would do is you would just look at them and you say, in any way that I may have harmed you, knowingly or unknowingly, in this lifetime or at any time, I now no longer would like to have this in my life. I would love to have healing and tenderness and compassion, openness with you. I just lost my thought. I just got lost. It's so good there. In any way that I may have harmed you, please forgive me. Please forgive me. Please forgive me. I love you. Thank you. Now you visualize this person receiving you with open heart and open mind and receiving your forgiveness and your apology with an open heart and open mind. Then you move on to the next part. In any way that you may have harmed me, knowingly or unknowingly, out of your confusion, out of your pain and out of your own suffering, I now forgive you. I now forgive you. I love you. Thank you. So that's the second part. Getting a little nervous here, you guys. This is really weird looking at myself doing forgiveness practice in 3 directions. I've never done this before. So bear with me, okay? As long as you guys get the gist of it, that's all that matters to me. You can do it on your own. And please, at any time, push those buttons and thumbs up, say some things there, and that kind of pulls me into connecting with you also. I'm not just looking at my own talking head. Okay, so the third part, which is forgiving oneself. So it would go in any way that I may have harmed myself, knowingly or unknowingly, through thoughts, words, actions, in any way that I may have rejected myself, in any way that I may have harmed myself and hated myself for not being able to speak my truth, I now forgive myself. I now forgive myself. I love me. I love me. I love me. So that is the third part. So it's fairly straightforward, and it's I just did this in 3 directions with somebody visualized in front of you. This could be somebody who's from your past that you cannot connect with or talk to, or it could be somebody that it's not possible to. This is so charged and so powerful that it's not possible to have this kind of a connection with them. So you do this in your meditation. What I found really powerful is for me to do this in my relationship. I've been doing it for like 15 years, and I did it a lot. For the first year and a half, 2 years, I did it all the time. It was nonstop. I'm constantly doing it. And it took a while for it to start working in my life, and the type of person and type of relationships that I was drawing to me. So it wasn't an overnight thing. It was something that my whole life had to shift and change, and my whole experience as a human being had to change with this practice, along with other practices too. So now what I do is I actually sit across from my partner, and we do forgiveness practice with each other. Whenever something comes up, whenever we have a challenging situation or a challenging time and that we have to work through, we use communication to work through it. And sometimes we get stuck and we both have different opinions and different points of view, and there is no right or wrong. And we both know, we both have committed to bringing the forgiveness practice into our lives, and we sit across from each other, knee to knee, and we take turns doing the forgiveness practice back and forth to each other. And a lot of times what will happen is that the forgiveness practice, when you're using the words, it's really challenging. It's really hard to be able to say things that are very, how do you say it, authentic and real and powerful in the moment. And that's okay. It doesn't really matter. It's just okay. It's the intention of being able to put yourself in a position, in a place to where you want to have forgiveness and healing in your life. That is the most important thing. The intention is the most important thing. Putting yourself in a position to where you no longer want to be swayed and be a prisoner to our past, and not only for ourselves, but with the people that we have in our lives. That's all it's all about. So you sit across from each other, from your partner, and 90% of the time when my partner and I sit across from each other and we do the forgiveness practice, we're just repeating words. We're just repeating words. It's like a dialogue, and it's okay. It's okay. It's the intention of how we sit across from each other, and we create the space, and we honor each other in healing, and in order to have communication and to have an open heart in how we show up for ourselves and for each other. That's all that really matters. Okay, so I really want to emphasize that point. It's really, I couldn't say that anymore, how important that part of it is. And the other thing that I want to again say is that forgiveness is not condonement of past actions by someone. So, and it's also not reconciliation. So, if you want to ask for forgiveness or you want to forgive someone and expecting some kind of reconciliation or something, you want to get something out of it, it's not really for that. It's really for our own freedom or our own hearts and how we move forward in this world without having to be bound to our past. Okay? And this is really important for anyone who may also have had trauma, deep trauma, abuse. This is not advice for anyone who has struggled with abuse and trauma. I would highly recommend that you seek out help for that and ask your health practitioner if there is any way that they can incorporate this forgiveness practice into your work that you're already doing with someone else. So it's a little bit of a disclaimer, and I think it's really important to be really clear with that. Okay, so I just went off a little bit, went on, and I'm going to open it up for some questions. Please ask me some questions about this. This is there's a lot here. I have a lot to say on this topic, and it's just difficult and challenging when I'm looking at myself and watching my lips moving back and forth. I still got to get used to this thing. It's really crazy. So also, please let me know where you're coming in from, and just let me know so I can tell demographically where and who I'm speaking to. Okay. Hi, Nancy. Yeah, couples work. This is probably one of the single most powerful couples practice that I found that clears past things and opens up possibilities in the future, so a couple can grow together as opposed to one growing apart from the other. So a lot of times that's what happens, is that a lot of codependent relationships, we tend to depend on each other. One person has power more than the other person, and this constant shift back and forth of power. And what I found in my relationship is to have the least amount of power shifting back, and having clarity and conscious permission in giving power back and forth creates a healthy relationship. So it becomes more of an H-frame relationship where we grow together and come together, as opposed to lean on each other and one growing apart than the other. Okay, so let me just look at some of these. Okay, so Steve. Okay, so this is the cool thing about this software that I have. Steve, how do you let go of resentment from a marriage you put everything into? So, Steve, I'm assuming that your marriage is over, because I'm speaking from my own experience in this situation. It's ultimately, after I did all of the work that I had to do around my relationship, which was my 20-year marriage, and with children and all that. It was a lot of, I pretty much lost all of my identity when my marriage ended. And there was a lot of resentment, there was a lot of hurt, there was a lot of regret. And this is something that I could not work through with the person, so I had to do this myself. So I was able to do a lot of this work, this healing work around my past marriage, by having the person sit in front of me and creating an open, loving situation where I could actually do the healing practices of forgiveness with that person. It just takes a lot of work, and I did it for 4 or 5 years, a lot. And ultimately, what it did was it brought me back to other people in my relationships. I saw patterns in my relationships, and how each relationship had a certain pattern that was running through that was similar. And I was able to unravel all of those things and see where the patterns were, and I was actually able to go in and work a little bit deeper in the areas where they unraveled. But before I was able to do the work, I was not able to see the patterns as clearly. So how can you work with something that you can't see? So it's just the onion, the layers of the onion just peeling off. It's just constantly peeling off. So yeah, it's work, and yet it's an enormous amount of rewards for it. Okay? Anybody else? Come on. And also, this practice is it's a really interesting practice. After you do it over and over and over, what will happen is that in any kind of situation you find yourself in where let's say, like the subtlest one, okay? In a situation standing in, and it's happened to me many times, standing in a line, a little bit aggravated with the person that's in front of you, for no particular reason. You don't know this person. You have no idea what this, what kind of, what this person's background is, who they are, where they come from. Yet they annoy the piss out of you, okay, for whatever reason. And please let me know if you've experienced this, okay? I certainly have. And what I found is that as soon as I get hooked into the aggravated, juicy resentment, kind of I want to like really yell at this person kind of thing that gives me satisfaction, as soon as I catch myself, what I do is I do forgiveness practice with this person right in front of me. I have no idea who this person is. They have no clue that they just aggravated me. Yet I'm able to have forgiveness practice with this person in any way, shape, or form that I may have harmed you in the past life somewhere. I have no friggin' idea. In whatever way that you're coming into my consciousness right now and you're disrupting my reality, I forgive you. I forgive you. Okay? Or please forgive me. Please forgive me. Right? And it's amazing how quickly that person, that hook that's in there, that person will leave your consciousness. They won't even bother you anymore. It's miraculous how quickly this works. So I invite you to try that the next time you're in line and you get aggravated, you get annoyed by someone that you don't know. So that's on a subtler way of using this practice, which gives you peaceful mind in shopping malls and standing in lines or whatever else that might cause your reality to be disrupted. So anyhow, questions? Bring it on. Love this fire for doing. Hi, Christy. Okay, you guys. Okay, so if I don't get any questions in the next next few moments, I'm going to wrap it up. And since 27 minutes has just passed by like this, and I want to keep this Facebook Lives shorter than 30 minutes. My goal was actually 20 minutes. Yeah, for some reason, as I'm getting used to doing these, I'm going to have to kind of bear with it and have you guys bear with me. And so I want to thank you guys for showing up. And it's beautiful seeing your names here. And please do make comments if any questions come up for you if you watch this on a rebroadcast. I do answer any questions that come up on the feed after the broadcast is no longer live. I will come back and answer any questions, and if I can, help you in any way that I can, or at least direct you in the direction that I can direct you. So, Jack Kornfield, if you Google forgiveness in 3 directions and Google Jack Kornfield, you'll find fairly comprehensive write-ups and information on the forgiveness practice if you would like to explore this any further. The other thing I would like to say is that my offerings in the future, that will be in July. I'm going to put this on here. In July, I will be teaching at Wanderlust Festival in Tahoe. And that's the last weekend in July. If you're in that area, come on and we'll do some acro yoga together. I'll be teaching with an amazing crew of acro yogis and Justin Bench, who is my co-teacher during this. And also, if you're interested in yoga and meditation teacher training, it's going to be an amazing training that Nancy Goodfellow, hi Nancy, she's on here right now, and I put together It's called the Luminous Heart Yoga and Meditation Teacher Training. It's a Yoga Alliance registered school. So that's in September 8th to the 29th. And check out the website, and it has all the information there. Other than that, please, everybody, push the heart button, because I love when the hearts kind of blow up and go across my screen. It's kind of cool. And I want to thank you guys. And until next time, I'm going to be continuing to do these once or twice a week. So far, Sunday is the time to do it. Just know that I love you guys. Thank you for showing up. Thank you for supporting me. Thank you for being my friend. And have a beautiful Sunday. Bye.